Hello and welcome to another episode of Tech Storytelling. I am your host Madan, and today with me I have an amazing guest, Mr. Sanjay Nishank. Sanjay, namaste and welcome to the Tech Storytelling.
Namaste, Madan. It's good to be here.
Yeah, great. It's pleasure to interview you today and learn a lot of experience into blockchain space. So Sanjay, before we get this journey started, my first question to you that you are the co-founder of Intain, right?
Right.
So I know a lot of people has entrepreneurship, spirit, and especially into blockchain. So my few questions, maybe what is the motivation? What's your role here? And more than that, what kind of actual the pain point or what kind of mystery you are solving through your intent, your startup? If you can let us know, that would be great.
Right. So probably I'll just take 1 or 2 minutes to give an introduction about me and then how I got into the space that can probably set the stage as to what we are doing here. So I have got before starting Intain, I had around 15 years of experience with large IT companies like Infosys and Cognizant, where I worked with financial institutions in terms of enterprise application deployment and business consulting. And at the end of that, I had started my own company, which was into private placement platform. It was a fintech much before most of these fintechs were actually born. It was in 2015. And through that platform, we wanted to facilitate the startups raising capital. And I, along with three of my other co-founders, had started that company. Towards the 4 years into that company, we kind of realized, and in 2018, the blockchain technologies were just starting. And then at that point in time, I got interested into blockchain technologies because of the simple reason that how it actually fit into what we were trying to do at that point in time. So, like I said, my earlier startup was Grex, where we used to gather and collect all the information about startups and then make that available to the angel investors and seed investors so that they have all the information in their fingertips before they take a call to invest or not invest. Now, obviously, like we know, in India and in other parts of the world, usually private companies are not supposed to be sharing information at a regular basis. But unless you share information, and no investor is going to be interested in investing in your company. So at that point in time, we thought that blockchain is probably the right technology where we can get all the information about the private companies and make that available through the ledger. Because as we know, blockchain as a technology has a couple of inherent benefits, which is immutability, transparency, and it establishes trust. So that's how I got into blockchain technologies in 2018. And then at that point in time, Siddharth, who is the other founder of the company of Intain, so he was the CEO of HCL State Street, and then we kind of got together and started Intain. Through Intain, what we wanted to build is a loan securitization platform. Now, obviously, in the last 3 years, there has been a little bit of pivot as far as the platform is concerned. But we wanted to build a loan securitization platform. Now, again, in 1 or 2 lines, if I can talk about the utility of blockchain technology in loan securitization platform. Loan in India, it's not such a large industry, but in US, loan securitization is a $1 trillion industry. Essentially, what happens is that any lender who actually lends money for any purpose, a credit card or personal loans or motorbike loans or mortgages, usually the lender will have he actually pools the loans and sells it to someone else. In India, it's not so prevalent because all the lenders, they can actually raise money through savings. But in US and rest of the European countries, it's not so difficult to raise money from the public because, as you know, the savings rate is less than 1%. In India, at least even as of today, also it's around 4 or 5%. So there, what people do is, what the lenders do is they originate the loans, and then they pool those loans and sell it to a second party, and to another person, another institution, all the investment bankers. And those investment bankers have a name. They are called actually they're called issuers, and then they pool those loans, tranche those loans. Tranching meaning, again, any pooling of those loans. Let's say you have got 5,000 mortgage loans. Out of that, let's say 2,000 would be good quality loans, another 2,000 would be bad quality loans because of the CIBIL score and all that. So they would actually tranche it into two categories, and then probably they will have differentiated coupon rates as far as those two categories are concerned. And then they will sell that to another set of investors. Now, those set of investors can actually buy it like any fixed deposit instrument, right? But actually, those fixed deposit instruments are backed by the EMI payments of those originated loans. So it's a pretty complicated process in US. There are typically in a securitization transaction, there are around 13 or 14 entities which are involved in completing that transaction. And it takes around 40, 50 days to complete one transaction. So because of that, it's a little expensive process. And because of that, the ticket size for which the securitization happens doesn't come below $100 million. Now, blockchain and basically, again, I mean, all this happens because there are 13 entities. All the entities will keep sharing documents with each other. Everybody has to do a due diligence as long as one document passes from one entity to another, because it's all not maintained in one single trustworthy database, as if you can call it. So that is what we are. That is what we thought that is a good use case for implementing blockchain. Now, what we initially did is we built a platform using a private permission blockchain network called Hyperledger Fabric. And this platform has been in production for the last 1 year now. For the first 1 year or so, we actually kept spending time in building the platform and putting all the nuts and bolts in place. For the last 1 year, it has been in production. Now, this platform is used by two of the largest 10 trustees in the US as of today for their investor reporting purposes. The asset types which are being serviced out of a platform mostly are residential mortgage types, and some of them are motorcycle loans as well. So over a period of time, like I said, when you start a product, it keeps getting pivoted quite a bit. Over a period of time, we have actually converted this to a servicing and admin platform as far as the trustee is concerned. So as of today, like trustee is one of those 13 entities in the securitization lifecycle, which is a key entity actually. So trustee is our major client. Like I said, two of the last top 10 trustees are our clients as far as this platform is concerned. So using blockchain, what we have been able to do is reduce the ticket size of those $100 million of securitization to around $10 million. So because it's a blockchain-based platform, it's an IT platform. Till now, all of this processes, everything was being done with a combination of Excel and emails. But now all of this is being done through our platform. So we have been able to reduce the ticket size of the securitization deals from $100 million to $10 million. The timeline of completing the transactions from, let's say, 4 to 6 weeks to around 1 to 2 weeks. As far as investor reporting is concerned, we have been able to reduce that from 5 to 6 days to 1 to 2 days. So, I feel proud to say that ours is probably one of the very, very few platforms which have been in production, blockchain-based platform, which has been in production, and where as of today we are running all this reporting for around $4 billion of assets on our platform. So in 1 year, so that's
truly this is exciting. Truly exciting. I mean, you have covered my 3-4 questions into the same answers. I'm very happy. But I mean, I was about to ask you that you mentioned the India first I believe, credit capital platform, and then you are actually, I mean, that is called your D and E, right? The D plus E, you are saying the platform. But more than that, my question, I see there are two technology ecosystem coming together. The one and two brothers, right? One is AI analytics, and second brother B is the blockchain. So my question to you, and that's where a lot of people are unable to reimagine how AI and blockchain work together. Can you give us some example that help us to understand how these two ecosystem coming together and solving a major problem?
Right. So I think I have heard people talking about the fact that AI and blockchain are going to drive the future innovation and future platforms. We actually, like I said, when we started working on it in 2018, we actually started working with a pool of 5,000 bike loans with one of the companies in Pune, one of the NBFCs in Pune. Now, the first problem that we faced, in terms of loan securitization, what happens is when you have to get those loans, even if the lender has already originated those loans, the person, the issuer who is going to buy those loans, he has to first do a due diligence of those loans, because you never know what kind of information is there in the actual loan contract documents and what is there in the loan management system which the NBFC is maintaining. So the first thing the issuer has to do is go through all the loan contract documents and then go through the loan management system information which the NBFC is providing, and then do a reconciliation between that if all of them are correct. And since there are, let's say, this is a pool of loans, at least around 5,000 to 10,000 loans actually come together as part of this pool. So
Yeah.
it's a very, very manually intensive process. So that's also what we faced when we started working on it. And then we thought that why don't we use AI to read, those 35 or 36 or 40 fields or 40 parameters that we usually need from the individual loan contract documents, and then compare that with the loan management system information. So that is the point where we saw that we saw a good use case for UI. For AI.
AI. Mhm.
So we actually we used NLP to read through those loan contract documents. We defined those 40 parameters that we need, which we have to reconcile with the same parameters which are coming from the loan management system.
Yeah.
We used NLP and some of the existing customized packages from Google to read those 40 parameters and then compare that with the existing LMS. Now, that's actually, even if it's not a small part, but it's definitely, like we say in blockchain is going to be useful only when, no, uh, we know that once you pass on some information to a blockchain ledger, it's very difficult to delete it. And you can just override it.
Yeah.
Um, uh, you have to have a new version of data, but you cannot delete that information. So it's important that before we take the data regarding all of these assets into blockchain, it was important to get the right information around those individual loans.
Yeah.
And there is a story behind that also. I mean, some concept behind that. The 2008-2009 crisis actually happened because the initial information about each one of those loans or assets was actually not available, because structured finance industry. So this is typically structured finance industry. Typically, you take the loans, you keep on restructuring, and it goes through 3 or 4 entities, and then at the fifth stage, you don't know what loan is actually the underlying loan. So because all those information, you don't know where it's existing in some centralized database. So here also what we realize is, before we get all that information into blockchain, we needed to extract that first from the loan contract documents. Then we wanted to reconcile that with the loan management system, and only when they match, we wanted to get that into the blockchain. So this
Oh,
first part is the place where we actually used AI. So this is typically not done in blockchain. The platform that we have built is a combination of off-chain and on-chain kind of application.
oh.
So off-chain part is where AI system works in that off-chain flow, where we First of all, we get the digitized loan contract documents. Then we extract those 40 fields from those loan contract documents. We reconcile those for around 40 fields with the loan management system information. And once we are ready, then we actually pass on those details to the blockchain. And from that point onwards, the on-chain processes start. So it's a combination of on-chain and off-chain processes. And we realize that AI is extremely useful to get those data and reconcile that before we actually put that into a blockchain.
Okay, this is great. So, I mean, look, the conversation is so interesting and so engaging. I have a lot of questions, but due to the time limitation, I cannot ask. Sometime later, definitely we invite you and your co-founders with a larger, the audience. But my question, look here, I mean, it's little sarcastic. There are a lot of automation champions who are the automation lovers and who really love, they keep claiming efficiency, productivity improvement, and then bringing down the work cycle time only by the AI, and then they keep doing into the very siloed, focused mindset. My question to you, Sanjay, you have visibility of AI plus blockchain together. And though you answered, but again, I'm provoking you. Do you think that when you will bring the AI and blockchain, this ecosystem together into any operation, it has huge potential to improve the efficiency, what exactly at this moment AI is doing?
Right. See, I mean, obviously, I'm sure that you would have asked similar kind of questions to other people, and then you would have got you would have got answers. See, I have a different way. Even when I started working in blockchain technologies, I'm a pretty hands-on guy. So I actually started in 2018 by doing my own POCs in Ethereum and Hyperledger Fabric. I was also skeptical. And this is why we actually spent decent amount of time in building this platform. We spent around 1 year or so to build this platform. Typically, the POCs do not take more than 8 to 9 weeks or 10 weeks. But then we actually spent enough time because we come from the industry. Siddharth was managing, the other founder was managing HCL Street, the BPO operation. He has come from the financial services background. Like I said, I had around 16, 17 years of experience with financial services companies in capital markets domain. So what we have, and to just answer your question directly, what we have seen is one of the trustees, which has been using our platform, they have been able to increase their market share from 5% to 7.8% in the US securitization industry in the last 1 year that they have been using our platform. So I don't think this is what
Sanjay, sorry, I'm interrupting you. So you are saying the power of blockchain is the trustee or the people who are into the industry, if they truly use, this will help them to improve their market share. And that's happened with your client as well.
Yes, like I said, they have increased the market share from 5% to 7.8%, and it's actually pretty published. I mean, there are
because
talking
it
about
brings
it.
a lot of transparency, it brings a lot of accountability and visibility, and that's the reason people trust their data, right?
Yeah, one is the transparency and trust, and there are companies which have come back to these trustees again and again because they have been using our platform in terms of coming up with these reports. Like I said, one is transparency and trust. The other one is in terms of numbers, actually being able to generate information which is absolutely trustworthy and non-questionable in a 1 or 2 days time, which is what has give them the trust that this can using this platform they can actually do smaller ticket size deals.
Got it.
And which is actually need of the hour. I mean, you don't need to spend around 40 or 50 days to complete a transaction and go through all that.
Still, people will question that there might be some manipulation.
So, see, let me talk about the now you are obviously asking about the implementation of blockchain. I mean, the way I don't take umbrage to that question, but the point is, see, as far as blockchain implementation is concerned, it's an enterprise technology, right? And people, all the large financial institutions and any kind of institution, they have been using enterprise technologies like ERPs and all for donkey's years. You know? I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
they and it has matured quite a lot over the last quite a few years. Blockchain is just 2 or 3 or 4 years old. The enterprise implementation, crypto is, let's say, 8 year old, but then enterprise implementation is at base 2 year old technology. But so what we have been able to what we have been trying to do is get that right mix of on-chain and off-chain kind of processes, so that it actually resolves a client's problem, pain point.
yeah,
We do not want to push some parts of the blockchain technology to those areas using which there is no benefit to the client. So that's why I said the platform that we have built is a combination of on-chain and off-chain. And if I can quantify that, the whole platform, around 60% or 65% of the process flows in the platform actually gets done on the data which is coming out of the blockchain, and 33% is about the data preparation also. See, everybody has to understand, you can always take all the data into blockchain and do whatever.
yeah,
But the point is, you also need to be sure that this is all that you need to put into a ledger, because like once you put some data into ledger, it's there forever. You cannot make any changes to that. So that's why it's important to understand the problem statement, what problem you are trying to resolve, and where exactly you want to use that ledger. And
yeah,
like I said, in our platform, the technologies that we use Fabric, and quite some of the front end technologies are also being used, like React.js and Express.js, those kind of typical technologies that we use. So it's a
yeah.
mix of all of these
Got
technologies,
it.
and it's about understanding where exactly you want to use the right feature of blockchain technology. So you don't need to use that everywhere in all
Yeah,
parts of
very,
the
very nice.
technologies.
I think I love your honest answer that it's not about slapping the blockchain, but rather a very wisdom to apply over here. My next question to you, Sanjay, I think really I love the conversation. Blockchain, and in fact, your platform will be very focused on your platform. It's all about multi-party participation into overall hyperledger, right? And that's how you create a chain, and then multiple party, I mean, communicate to each other, and then they have the same kind of data. So my question to you with respect to challenge, when it comes to multiple party, it's all about collaboration. They might have the multiple infrastructure, they might have multiple mindset, or maybe they might have the different, interoperability issue. So would you like to, I mean, address or maybe share your experience that what kind of challenges you faced, and then how you bring all the party on the same your platform?
Right. Okay. So that's, I mean, obviously, if we understand the blockchain technologies, we know that unless there is a consortium, unless all the parties in the life cycle are part of are part of the network, maximum amount of benefit of the technology cannot be achieved. So this is absolutely given. So the idea is obviously to get more and more parties onto the network, or onto start using the technology as soon as possible, as quickly as possible. So again, I can take the example of our platform as to what we have been able to do in the last 1.5 years. When we started, we actually started deploying this platform with only one entity, which is actually the key entity. Like I said, there is an entity called trustee in the securitization lifecycle. So they are mandated by the regulator to maintain all the information and pass on all the information about the securitization deals. So we knew that. Right from the start, we understood that we need to get the anchor entity first onto the blockchain, because he's the guy who is going to drive usage of the platform, and he can actually cajole the other entities onto the platform. So we got Trusty initially onto our platform. slowly and steadily, then we started getting the issuer onto our platform. Issuer is the guy who is actually who structures the pool, who structures the securitization. Like I said, he transfers the securitization, the pool, and then he decides as to what percentage will go to which entity. So we got the issuer onto the platform. The third entity that we got onto the platform is the servicer. Now, servicer is the guy, servicer is the entity which actually services all these loans, meaning he actually collects the EMI payments from the end borrowers and passes that onto the trustee. And fourth entity which we actually got into the platform is the investor, the end investor who actually invests in those entities, instruments. Now, like I said, so this has taken us around 1.5 years. It's not like we could have also said that, hey, unless we have all of these four entities right in the beginning, we will not deploy the platform. But the point is that, unless people start seeing the benefit of the platform, day after day or week after week, they are not going to get onto the platform at all. And it takes time, but that's the way any enterprise application actually runs. Implementation of an enterprise application, it cuts across groups, it cuts across the, initially it used to cut across the groups of one organization, but now it's cutting across different organizations.
Yeah.
So it takes time, and it has also taken time for us for the last 1.5 years. As of today only, we can say, out of those 12 or 13 entities, we have been able to get around 4 entities onto our platform.
This is great.
So it takes time, and it takes time, and it's effort intensive, because when each one of these entities again come to the platform, they have their own set of needs. Everybody, when the servicer comes to the platform, he will start saying that, hey, why should I use 2 platforms? If you are asking me to use your platform, then you also need to build a couple of other features which I have in my other platform, so that I start using one single platform. But sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work, and then we'll have to think about how do we integrate, how do we do that integration through APIs, or we actually tell them, hey, this is the only part that you can do here, and that's the objective of the system. So it takes time, but
so Sanjay, I know there are a lot of my questions, but I know time is also ticking. So we have to take a pause, but I'm sure that maybe I'll schedule multiple calls. But my last question, I know that you are into blockchain space and you are into fintech and really solving the capital market problem. So if some of the organization and enterprise wish to onboard or maybe start the blockchain conversation, can you please share your coordinates and how people can approach you? Because there are a lot of people might be watching you. They will watch you on YouTube. Yeah.
Right. So, right now, our platform is primarily being used by by few US trustees, and we have been trying to get into the Indian market. We have had certain discussions with few public sector banks as well as private sector banks. But our website is www.intainft.com, INTAINFT.com. And my mail ID is sanjay.nishank@intainft.com. Sanjay, SANJAY.NISHANK. And if somebody wants to go through the website, there is some amount of information is available, and there are coordinates available at the website as well. We would be happy to get in touch with them, and then probably start working with some of the Indian players as well.
Okay, this is great. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are talking to Sanjay Kumar Nishank. He is the co-founder of the company of Intain. It's really solving a true business problem using blockchain and AI, and he's available for any kind of discussion across the LinkedIn. So with this conversation, Sanjay, wish you all the best and namaste. And again, hope to see you again.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks for